Welcome back, everyone, to King Po Myers and our special segment of KPM True Crime. We are joined once again by Sami from Studio Sticks. How you doing, Sami?
I am a-okay after our conversation we just had about about Brazil. If I'm a little sidetracked, but I'm good. I'm good. This week's story is really good.
If you haven't, please check out last week's episode all about Wallace Souza
Parrots.
and parrots.
And parrots.
Excuse me, it is not parrot, it's the parrot.
Yeah, it's a very specific parrot.
It
And if you
is.
I would implore you to make that specification because people will get angry if you don't.
Move over, Sesame Street.
Yeah,
Move over.
is the parrot.
For a refresher, if you have not already watched episode 1, if you haven't, go watch episode 1. But if you haven't, Sami tells us a true crime. She gives us all the facts, all the details, all those nitty-gritty details. I do not know what Sami is bringing to the table. I don't know the crime. I don't know the specifics. I know nothing. Except for this week, I do know that you gave us a little bit of a spoiler when you said the victims or people involved in the case were 12 years old. That's all you told
Yes.
us.
All of the ones that are criminally active in this case are 12.
So, without further ado, let's get right into it.
All right.
12-year-olds, true crime. I'm lost.
Most of the time that would be a red flag for
Yeah, a little bit.
for like a serial rapist or something, but yeah. So this week we have the attempted murder of Payton Leutner. I believe that's how you pronounce her name. It is the case of the Slenderman stabbings.
Oh, this. Oh, all right. I remember when this first happened. I followed it a little bit,
Mhm.
but start from the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah, I remember when this happened as well. But when I did my research and my notes for this, I got so much more information, like small details, because since this has happened, Peyton has actually spoken out and done a bunch of interviews where she's given a lot of specifics onto what happened that day. So there's a lot more specifics. I mean, the police footage of the police station has been released of the interviews that were conducted, all that stuff. Everything like in the interrogation room, it's been released. It's public. So
Ooh, I would like to see that. I like that
yeah,
kind of stuff.
very interesting, very eerie. So if you don't know who Slenderman is, which Dylan, I'm pretty sure you do.
Of course.
But for those of you out there who don't know what Slenderman is, which I don't know how you couldn't, but he is a fictional entity that was created on Something Awful online forums for a 2009 Photoshop paranormal image contest. Later on, he became a staple on the creepypasta forums. It's now a creepypasta wiki, I believe.
Mhm.
It's a wiki page. But they later like expanded on the lore of Slenderman for people who create fan fiction and different artistic depictions. So like if you go to the creepypasta wiki for Slenderman, you're going to find a lot of artistic renditions of Slenderman. Some of them being, I'm sure some of them are NSFW, but that's just the internet. He is a tall, thin character with a featureless white face and head. He has no nose, no eyes, no mouth, nothing. He's depicted wearing a black suit and is sometimes shown with tentacles growing out of his back. According to the mythos, he can cause amnesia, bouts of coughing, and paranoid behavior in individuals, and he's often depicted hiding in forests or stalking children. So the original image that was released was like a group of school children, I think, that it was like a sepia tone like photo that looked
Mhm.
like an old timey photo. It was a bunch of children walking from like a field trip or something, and you see like just it was shopped very well, but you could obviously see it was shopped.
Yeah.
And you just see in the trees in the background of the forest they were just coming from is Slenderman. Um, and I think he really rose to popularity, like probably from the video game, in my opinion. That's when I first kind of like caught my eye. The video game came out in June 2012. It was like, I think it's called like Slenderman 8 Pages or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a lot of Let's Players on YouTube that, like, I think Markiplier specifically, who was really making that popular and was really having people like really get around this. And it kind of blew up on YouTube, and people started playing it on their channels and stuff. And a film recently was also created with the story in 2018. And funny enough, which I found really cool, I did not know this fact until I researched it, but the original guy who created Slenderman, who submitted the first photo on the Something Awful forums,
Mm-hmm.
he was on the team for writing the script. So he was able to expand his own lore.
That's awesome. I'm so happy
Yeah.
he stayed with it.
Yeah, really, really cool. All right. So that's a little background on Slenderman. Now we're moving on to this specific case and what the hell this has to do with Slenderman. So this case follows Payton Leutner, Anissa Wire, or I think it's either Anissa or Anissa. I'm probably going to say Anissa, but and Morgan Geyser, all of which were 12 years old at the time of this case, and they were all classmates enrolled at the same school. The story place takes. Oh, I can't speak. Place takes. The story takes place in Waukesha, Wisconsin, which I think is closer to you than it is to me. But basically, all of these girls were in the same grade. Morgan and Peyton were best friends since 4th grade, and they both loved cats. They loved dress up, Harry Potter, typical 12-year-old girl shit, right? They talked on the phone every night, hogging up the line, blah, blah. Basic 12-year-old, like, best friends, basically.
There's a shiver going up my spine right now.
Oh, so Morgan, her 12th birthday party was a sleepover, and it was coming up. So Morgan obviously invited Peyton and her new friend, who was the new girl in school, Anissa. So basically, Morgan was originally friends with Peyton, but there was this new girl, Anissa, who was very drawn to these two because they were kind of like outcasts. They didn't seem like they had a lot of friends. So Anissa was kind of drawn to that, and they ended up kind of welcoming her in as their friend group. So the birthday rolls around, and Morgan, Anissa, and Peyton spend their evening at Skateland, a little skating rink, before being picked up by their dad. Typical sleepover stuff ensues, like goofing up on the laptops, going on to photo booth and stuff like that. The next morning, they eat donuts and strawberries for breakfast. They dressed up and they took photos in goofy outfits, and they made up. Okay, this part got me. I don't know why this is so specific in the article I read. They made up this game where they crushed granola into silly putty. Like, they took granola bar, crushed it up, put it in a little thing of silly putty, and threw it up at the ceiling. Very strangely specific.
Okay.
And I don't know why you would ruin the silly putty like that. You're never going to get that shit out. Silly putty's not edible. You're not going to do that. Like, it's wrong. It's wrong, and a poor use of silly putty. So then Morgan asked their mom if they could go outside and play. And they went to David's Park right across the street. It was a small public park that had public restrooms. It was super small. It has a small patch of grass outside, nothing special. Like, people would have picnics and stuff over there. On the way there, Peyton led the way, so she was like ahead of the group. And Morgan and Anissa lagged behind. And that's when Morgan pulled the left side of her jacket up to show Anissa the knife she had stolen from the kitchen. So Anissa's probably like, the fuck are we gonna do with that? So on their way there, when they got to the park, Anissa and Morgan lured Peyton into the bathroom and attacked her. Morgan restrained her while Anissa pushed Peyton's head into a brick wall. But then Morgan fell apart and started pacing and singing to herself like a psycho. And then Anissa got up and sent Peyton outside to play while she comforted Morgan by petting her like a cat. So 2 things here.
There's many things here.
Two things here. First off, clearly, well, three things. So first off, Morgan clearly was like, I want to attack this girl, but I can't do it. I don't know. Maybe I can't do it. I felt bad. So she got up off of her and she started pacing and singing to herself like a psycho. Second off, why you would just be okay being like, go outside and play while you just got brutally attacked in a public restroom? Why you would just be okay with just walking outside? I don't know. I don't know, like maybe they thought she was playing or something. I don't know. Like maybe they thought they were just messing around and they accidentally hit her head. Why you would just be okay with walking away from that after you just got like brutally attacked and your head smashed into a wall? I don't know.
And I'm already
Like,
confused.
right? So Morgan basically attacked this girl, couldn't do it, couldn't like basically hurt her anymore, got up, started acting like a psycho. And Anissa's like, oh no, hey girl on the floor that we just attacked, go outside and play. I'm gonna take care of this real quick.
We'll
And
call
then
you
she
back in
just,
5 minutes.
yeah, we'll call you back. So basically, so Anissa's petting her like a freaking cat to try to calm her down. Very strange, but it comes into play later. So remember that.
Okay.
It was Anissa's idea that once Morgan had calmed down, that they were going to go play hide and go seek in the woods. Morgan then took the lead as they went into the woods, but later testified that, quote unquote, Anissa and I took Peyton into the forest and said we were going to play hide and seek. Anissa said she couldn't do it and that I had to. So saying that, I mean, originally, from Peyton's point of view, Morgan led the way into the woods. This was Morgan's idea to go into the woods. But Morgan later testified that this was Anissa's idea. So Morgan counted first at a tree. She closed her eyes, counted at a tree. Anissa and Peyton hid. And then Anissa tried to tackle Peyton, but couldn't hold her down. And then Morgan handed Anissa the knife while they were struggling. And Anissa handed it back saying she was too squeamish. So basically, she's trying to pin this girl down. She isn't strong enough. And Morgan's like, okay, well, you can't hold her down. She's got to squirm. You got to get her while she's down. So here, take this knife. And Anissa's like, fuck no, I ain't doing this. She gives it back to her. So that's what happened there. And Peyton's just laying there. She's just laying there while they're discussing all of this in front of her. Why you just sit there? I guess she must have thought that she was just, they were playing.
It was a joke?
I guess maybe like pranking her or something just to like scare her. But she's just like laying there while they're discussing all of this in front of her. She even started playing in the dirt with like the flowers since she was just waiting to get back to their game of hide and go seek.
Peyton!
Peyton, girl. Yeah, like what are you thinking? Morgan then took the knife back and said, well, I'm not going to do it until you tell me to. And Anissa said, well, I can't do it. You know where all the soft spots are. Anissa then started to walk away. When she had walked about 5 feet, she stopped and said, Kitty, now go ballistic, go crazy, make sure she's down. As Anissa was walking away, she heard Morgan say, don't be afraid, I'm only a little kitty cat, like she was playing.
Uh-huh.
Morgan, after getting the go-ahead from Anissa, then pushed Peyton over and stabbed her 19 times in the arms, legs, and torso with a kitchen knife with a 5-inch long blade, not including the handle. 5-inch long blade. 2 wounds were to major organs. 1 missed a major artery of her heart by less than a millimeter, like less than a human hair. And another went straight through her diaphragm, cutting into her liver and stomach. Yeah. This girl, just all over the place. Why you'd go for the legs and arms though, I don't understand. But there was a lot in her torso. She got stabbed 19 fucking times, so there's a lot of stabs.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Morgan then later recalled it as like she later recalled it to police. Like she said, stabby, stab, stab, stab. It didn't feel like anything. It was like air. And Peyton just screamed, "I hate you. I trusted you the whole time."
Oh my God, my hat.
Peyton then tried to get up and walk, but she couldn't. She mentioned that like her eyes were kind of blurry, like she couldn't see right. Well, she just got stabbed 19 fucking times.
Yeah.
Clearly, yeah, more. Yeah, Peyton, yeah. So Anissa held on to her and helped her walk and took her deeper into the woods and told her to lie down. This next part is like something I would have done as an 8-year-old. Anissa then tried to dress Peyton's wounds with a leaf. Like using a leaf as a band-aid. And then told her that they were going to go get help for her and to stay put, and they left. Morgan and Anissa went to the nearby Walmart and washed up in the bathroom, filled their water bottles with water, and then wandered around town for several hours while crying and singing with each other until the police found them sitting in the grass near the entrance to the interstate highway. So they were never going to go get help. Anissa even said that. We're not getting help.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Why you going? I mean, I guess Walmart's a good idea, but you're walking into Walmart Walmart's probably the way to do. Walmart's probably the place to go if you're going to walk in all bloody. There's some weird people at Walmart, man. Some characters. So they washed up in the bathroom, filled their water bottles and stuff, and they just walked around. I'm sure they were planning on running away at some point. Clearly they were right by the interstate. But they just kind of sat there. Peyton, on the other hand, who
In
was
the middle
just
of the woods.
in the middle of the woods, was just stabbed 19 times, was able to fucking drag herself out of the woods to a nearby road where she was then discovered by a passing cyclist who called 911. How you are able to move your body at all when you have just been stabbed in major organs 19 times? I guess the adrenaline just kicked in. I mean,
Yeah.
Peyton later said in interviews that she was like, I didn't feel pain. She was like, I didn't really feel pain. Like, I guess it didn't hurt, but she knew that something wasn't right. And she knew that she wouldn't survive this if she didn't go and get help, because they were clearly taking too long, and they were trying to find adults that would help them. But she was like, why would I go to an adult that's going to help me? Just some rando. I'm going to find a rando that was going to find me. Thank God that she made it up there before she passed out. And before she passed out, before the anesthesia kicked in, Peyton was able to tell police what had happened and who had done it to her. So they knew who they were looking for when they found her, when they found the two at the interstate. And this is when we go into interrogation mode, because crime's been committed. Peyton survived. Clearly, she lived to tell the tale.
Thank God.
She even said at the beginning of one of the interviews, she's like, I should not be alive right now. Like, I am very, very lucky. I should not be alive right now. The surgeon said that if it had been a millimeter more, I would have died. I would not have survived. So she is very fucking lucky. So in the state of Wisconsin, I found this very interesting, and I wish they would do this for more cases that are as severe as this. But a child can be interrogated by police in the state of Wisconsin without the presence of an adult. And that is exactly what they did. So when interrogating Morgan and Anissa, they had said that they had recently discovered the legend of the Slenderman on the internet and had started to believe in him so strongly that they felt he was calling on them to kill someone to prove their loyalty to him. They thought that if they murdered somebody, that they would become his proxies, prove his existence to all the doubters and prevent him from harming their families. This is something that is literally like not real. Like you read this online. It's on a creepypasta with other things that are not real. You are 12 years old. You are able to tell what is real and what is not. You are almost in high school. You know what I mean? Like you're 2 years away from going into high school. Like you should have a developed brain enough to know what's right and wrong. If they did what he said, they said if they did what he said, that they would become his servants and live with him in his huge mansion in the forest with him. Which I did see some like suspicion that this might have been a very specific mansion that was in the forest. That people are speculating that it might have been this very specific mansion, but I don't think it was any mansion that they had in mind. So,
I mean, the first thing my mind is like saying like there's some type of psychosis.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, okay, a little bit of it is explained later. But when they were pressed by adults, both of them acknowledged that they knew the difference between fantasy and reality, and that the problem wasn't that they didn't understand logically that Slenderman wasn't real. Anissa told police that day, "He does not exist. He is a work of fiction." Those are her words. But Morgan had a stronger attachment to the fantasy and had a hard time removing herself from it. But even she said it was probably wrong and said, "I honestly don't even know why we did this." Yeah. But at the same time, it seemed like they both did truly believe it, because Anissa, when they went to attack Peyton, was found with a bag with some old family photos and whatnot, with their supplies, with like the knife, the rags, the water bottles, everything. They found old family photos in it. And she told the police, "We're probably going to be spending the rest of our lives with Slender, and I didn't want to forget my family." And then she started to cry and said, "You know, when distant family members fade away with time." It's like, that's oddly deep for a 12-year-old, but like
That's
not the time to be saying that when you're on trial for murder. Yeah. Do you want to take a minute before we
I'm
go
like trying
on?
to like, because I'm a teacher and I've taught 12-year-old and just I'm trying to like wrap my mind around
How something so small can have so much evil in it. I mean, kids
like,
are evil.
and
I used to be in childcare. Kids are freaking evil in general. I think they have malintent all the time. But I don't think this is something that like a normal thought that crosses your mind.
But it's also like interesting in the way like they're still acting like children. Like when Morgan is like, you know, clearly upset by what she's doing, but she's continuing with it. They're acting like the age, and like who's the little girl, the victim? That was
Peyton?
Peyton. Why something in her brain wasn't clicking? Like,
like, how do you not sense the danger here? Like, I get
assaulted in a bathroom,
you just,
and then wait outside.
You're held down at knife point.
I mean, has she talked about like, let's run, bitch?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what she was thinking. I genuinely don't. I'm sure she doesn't. I mean, your memories kind of fade after a certain age, I think, because like, I mean, there's this thing called, I believe I've read about it, but like it's called like childhood amnesia or something like that, where like you actually do forget like a lot of the first like early years of your life. You don't remember a lot of it. And it's very rare that somebody remembers something that happened to them when they were like 1 or 3. And honestly, I can't remember anything really stupid that I did at age 12. If you told me what grade I was in, maybe I'd be able to say it, but I really honestly couldn't say. I don't know when this amnesia thing kicks in. I think it's like when you're like excuse me, 8 years old. But I don't know. I don't know if she like just forgot what she was thinking, if like there's nothing there. She doesn't, I mean, she was smart enough to go up and go get help, but like in interviews, she doesn't, I hate to say this about somebody that's a victim, but like she doesn't seem like she's like the brightest. Just the way she speaks is not very well formed, if that makes sense. But also she's young. This happened in 2014 and it is 2021 now. So she was 12, 5 years later. She's only like 17, 18. She's not even college yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to it. They have Morgan and Anissa.
Yeah.
Anissa.
They have them both in interrogation rooms right now. They also found like later that Anissa had 2 messages that were left on her cell phone that were goodbye messages written days before the stabbing. So they were planning this. This was not a like on the spot thing. Oh yeah, this was absolutely premeditated. So it was written days before the stabbings, and it was like read like a will, which she bequeathed all of her possessions to her family. And the other one was like a suicide note, which read, "This is my final wish to those who care. Do not grieve my absence, but remember me for who I was. I love and cherish you all and wouldn't do you harm."
As you're plotting to kill
Peyton. And as they were wandering around the town, Morgan made an awful confession to Anissa. Not that she had just killed someone, because she saw that happen, but she had made a confession to Anissa. She said to Anissa that she had kind of sort of made a side deal with Slender, and told Anissa that in private telepathic conversations that Morgan promised Slender that if they failed to go through with the murder, that Slender could have his way with their families.
Oh.
So basically, if she failed to kill Morgan, if Morgan failed to kill Peyton, she basically was like, "Hey Slender, if me and Anissa fuck up with this, you can have our families. I don't care. As long as we get to live with you." Yeah. Anissa lost it when she said this, by the way. Anissa was pissed. She was like, "I want to call my mom. I want to go home. You did this. I don't want to be any part of this." Meanwhile, they had already just stabbed Peyton.
I want to go home. I can't do this right anymore. Like,
I don't really even want to be friends with you. We're having a friend breakup right now, and I really can't do this. So if you could just take me home now, that would be great.
By the way, you did the murder.
Yeah, by the way, that was your fault, not me. I just held her down.
You're just a bad kitty.
I walked away and was a bad kitty. Yeah, this weird role-playing thing I don't understand. I don't know if they had like a secret relationship or what it was. I don't know. They seemed oddly attached. So it was a little confusing. I just thought it was a weird detail. When police looked into the 2 girls' home life, they found Morgan's household. She had gotten her kind of like alternative Gothic style from her parents. These made me die. They're so friggin' funny. One of her father's usernames was "I love evil." Which is like such
I just thought of Dr. Evil.
Yeah. It's such an early 2000s screen name that you would like have on Skype to be like edgy, you know?
I'm dark, man.
And apparently his Instagram handle, which, get ready, his Instagram handle was deadboy420.
I can't.
This is a father.
Was he 16 or something?
No. No, his Instagram handle was deadboy420. which is so good. I would take that handle. I would absolutely take that. But he posted on Instagram along with family pictures like brass knuckles tipped with skulls, skull and crossbones, birthday cards that he gave to his wife. And 2 months before the incident, he had proudly posted a drawing that Morgan had made of Slenderman with the caption, "Only Mogo," which is his nickname for Morgan, "draws Slenderman on a napkin in crayon when we are out to dinner." So she was clearly obsessed. She was drawing this dude everywhere. And when Morgan spoke to police, she basically said, "We got our hopes up. He's everywhere." And like she's still paranoid about this guy being out there after she failed to kill her friend. In Morgan's bedroom, they found normal 12-year-old girl things like Mad Libs and shit. But and also the silly putty, but also found 50 drawings referring to Slenderman with scrawlings all over them with things like "never alone" and "he still sees you." So she was clearly paranoid. She was a little bit obsessive with this whole story and really was kind of going to the furthest extent that she possibly could have. She actually used to torture because she knew that Peyton was scared of Slenderman. She knew that. And she used to like send her the creepypasta link and shit like that. Used to send her shit that was like regarding Slenderman just to like torment her. Not a very good friend in my opinion, but
No.
you know. They also looked through her online presence and found some more disturbing posts. On February 20th, 2014, she wrote, "Why did the baby cross the road? Because it was strapped to my bumper."
Okay.
Yeah. She also warned Peyton that Slenderman was going to get her while she was sleeping with all that tormenting stuff. Peyton was in the hospital for 7 days after the attack, but survived.
Only a week.
A week. I know. So, mind you, this happened in what month did this happen in? Because this literally like happened so fast. It's kind of crazy. It happened in 2014. And they were 12 in 4th grade. I don't even know what month that would be. It doesn't say what month. I didn't see it. I didn't really check. But she was back in school in September of 2014 of that same year. She did not even take a year off of school.
I mean,
dedication to student life is something else, man.
Well, also it is good to get them back into like kind of a routine, and like she's not at home all day thinking about it. It's like the routine can and does help.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's that, and like also like she had therapy appointments and shit scheduled, but like
a week in the hospital.
A week in the hospital?
Her
like
family's
I don't
got
know
good
what
genes.
month.
Like they were like sailors or farmers.
Healer.
Like good God.
Yeah, she was definitely a fast healer.
Comes from good
I'm
stock.
going to look. Now I'm curious how long she was out for. May, June, July, August, September. She was only out of school for 4 months. Actually, it was at the end of May, so 3 months.
And even then, June's an easy. Like what?
Yeah, she was out for 3 months.
Summer.
She was only gone by the summer. She came back after summer, and she was like, "Yeah, I got stabbed 19 times by my friends. That's why they're not here, by the way." What happened to Morgan? Oh, she stabbed me.
19 times.
19 times. Almost died. It's fine.
And how was your summer?
Yeah.
Oh my God, this poor child.
Yeah.
All right. So, as you've been telling me this, when it comes to true crime, like I need to look into the face of, luckily in this case, not the killer, but the assailants, I'll say. And I just
Yeah.
got goosebumps seeing these kids, like their
Yeah.
mug shots. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah. It's sad because like the one who you would think would do it is the other one, not that one. I don't know why. She just seems meaner. maybe that's just me being a petty bitch to a 12-year-old. But yeah. Um but basically in 2017, so this happened in 2014, they were not sentenced until 2017. So it took them 3 years to get sentenced.
I mean, were they in juvenile detention, I assume?
They were tried as adults, I believe.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I believe they were tried as adults.
Wisconsin
So
doesn't play.
yeah, you can't have your parent in the room when you're getting interrogated and you freaking get tried as an adult for an attempted murder. God, what does this world come to? I really wish more states were like that, honestly, because I feel like it would prevent more kids from doing stupid shit. Because kids do stupid shit, they act like they're adults when they're under the age of 18. I like when you're 16, you think you're on top of the world, and you end up doing stupid shit that could really get you in trouble if you were an adult.
I believe that no matter what your age, you should always be allowed your rights and to have
Yeah.
at least an attorney present.
Oh yeah, I mean they were given their Miranda rights.
Okay.
They were read their Miranda rights, but it's the difference of an adult being in the room.
But wait, do you know if they had an attorney present when they were interrogated?
I think they waived it, or they didn't
Yeah, a minor
because they were a kid.
No, Wisconsin. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, but these kids just tried to kill somebody.
I'm not. I get that.
I mean, if it was like maybe like illegal drugs or something, maybe I'd be like, okay, maybe let's have an attorney in here just so that we can guide them through the legal process and so that they know what their rights actually are, because they probably don't know what they're touching when they're touching drugs and shit like that, you know? I mean, they know it's bad, but they don't know like what the consequences are. I mean, I think everybody knows the consequence for fucking murder.
Well, I mean, I can't wait for you to keep telling us more, because like I'm just really questioning their mental state.
Okay, so here we go. So in 2017, Anissa Weier was sentenced. This is the girl who did not stab, by the way. This was the other girl who said, go for it.
Yeah, she's kind of like the dominant one. I mean,
yeah, I'd say so. Anissa Weier was sentenced to 25 years to life. It is an intermediate sentence involving at least 3 years locked confinement and involuntary treatment in a state psychiatric institute, followed by the communal supervision until age 37. So she basically, she's not getting out until she's 37, basically. I'm sure she could get out maybe a little bit sooner, but either way, it's going to be a long time.
Mm-hmm.
She was found not guilty by mental disease or defect after pleading guilty to attempted second-degree homicide. So, a lesser charge. But not good, but a lesser charge.
But second-degree homicide. It wasn't murder, though. Peyton survived. How could it be homicide?
No, attempted.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, attempted. So Morgan, on the other hand, was sentenced to the maximum 40 years to life, involving at least 3 years locked confinement, in addition to involuntary treatment in a state psychiatric institute until complete resolution of symptoms or until age 53, whichever may come first. She's in there for a long time. Followed by continued communal supervision, periodic reevaluations, and or reinstitution, and further treatment as needed as required by the sentence imposed. She was charged with attempted first-degree intentional homicide. She accepted a plea offer, which she would not go to trial and would be evaluated by psychiatrists to determine how long she should be placed in a mental hospital. She later pleaded guilty, but was found not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect, and was diagnosed with schizophrenia, which apparently her father also suffers from. Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah,
Yahtzee.
she's schizophrenic. So that makes sense with the telepathic communications and the deal she made with him, basically.
So she maybe really thought she was hearing him.
Yeah. Oh, she probably genuinely thought so. And like when you're younger like that, I thought I was a vampire. I mean, I probably am, but I'm joking about that. But I definitely wasn't joking when I was 12. So, I mean, she probably genuinely thought like her suspension of disbelief really probably made her, and like her suspension of disbelief coupled with her actually hearing things definitely made this more real to her.
And then you had fucking Anissa just egging her on.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
I mean, once again,
Yeah.
I'm not defending Morgan, but I will say this was a sick child.
Oh yeah.
Who did they know about her diagnosis prior?
Mm-mm. No, I don't think so. And I
No.
don't think that the dad, I don't know if the dad was diagnosed schizophrenic prior to this happening either.
Mhm.
He probably should have been, but I'm sure his symptoms were more mild since he didn't try to kill anybody. But
Well, just because you're schizophrenic doesn't mean you're a violent schizophrenic.
no, not at
That's
all.
a very small percentage.
It's actually very rare. They're more
Yeah.
concerned about you because they see something behind you. I'm not going to try to kill you. I'm worried about the thing behind you.
Exactly.
You know? So they're more fearful than anything. So I think out of her fear, she decided to act in aggression. Because I just think that just solely because of the story, in my opinion, her suspension of disbelief within the story, and coupled with her schizophrenia, I think it definitely made her more violent and want to act out because she was worried. She was concerned. She was like, I have to do this or my family's going to die.
And then, but then Morgan is the one who offered up her family.
She offered up both of their families. That's why Anissa was pissed. And she's like, I want to go home.
And that's where I think I'll put it more on Anissa. Obviously, she didn't know Morgan's schizophrenic or anything, but she was clearly the dominant. She was really, egging Morgan on to do it.
Yeah.
Morgan was very susceptible.
I'm not going to do it. You better do it. Obviously, you know more than I do, so maybe you ought to do it.
And Morgan was the one who had like the cat thing going. Like she was the kitty.
Yeah, I just
Anissa.
that weird. Yeah, because I do find her responsible. I do feel like she kind of manipulated it in a little bit.
Oh God, yeah.
She definitely egged it on. I wouldn't say she egged on this specific incident. I would say that she egged Morgan on in the belief of Slenderman.
Yeah.
I think she was messing with her to try to get her to believe further and further just to see how far she'd go. And when they suggested killing Peyton, well, and this is like, well, I'm closer to Morgan than I am to Peyton. So I get a friend out of this and I don't have to compete with anybody. So I'm not doing it. She is. I that's the kind of line of thinking that I can see them going through. But in 2018, the Wisconsin judge sentenced Morgan to 40 years under mental health facility supervision. She does periodically have the opportunity to petition for her release from the facility. She will remain under institutional care for the duration of her sentence, however. During her trial, she had been committed to the Winnebago Mental Health Institute and was the youngest patient there, which is crazy. And then just last year, an appeals court rejected Morgan's petition to be retried as a juvenile. Her attorney argued that she should have been charged with attempted second-degree intentional homicide rather than first, and argued that Morgan gave statements to investigators before they read her Miranda rights, which I don't think they would do because there's video evidence that's literally public knowledge that shows that they did. The attorney has petitioned the state Supreme Court to review the ruling So I'm sure this will have more updates in the future. This is
Mhm.
very recent. So Morgan's trying to be retried and to see if she get on parole or something.
Well, one, it's whether this is Morgan or whether it's Morgan's family. But the thing is, she's not in jail. She's in a place where I feel like she needs to be. She's in a she's not in jail.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
in a psychiatric ward.
Yeah, she's in a mental health facility. Period.
And Anissa is in a jail, or
Anissa is also, I believe, she is 25 years. It involves at least 3 years locked confinement. So like at least 3 years in a jail. And involuntary treatment in a state psychiatric institute, followed by communal supervision until age 37.
she's
Or
in jail.
yeah, so she's in jail. I don't know if she may have started with jail or she may have started with treatment. Either way, she would have to spend 3 years locked confinement, and the rest of it she would have to stay in a state psychiatric hospital or have supervision for this state psychiatric hospital. I could be wrong about this.
We are not legal experts here
No,
at KPM
not at
True
all.
Crime.
No, not at all. I am literally, this is just my understanding of what the sentencing said. So it seems like she was sentenced 25 years to life, which to me says 3 of those 25 years, at least 3 of those 25 years. It says at least. 3 of those 25 years are going to be in locked confinement, and then the other 22, or however many they decide, is going to be in state psychiatric treatment.
Mhm.
So, and that's that.
For me, out of this whole incredibly fucked up story,
Yeah.
the thing that creeps me out the most, that really just makes me very just is the fact that they went to Peyton's birthday and they played with her and they pretended.
It was Morgan's birthday, but they
it was
invited
Morgan's
Peyton.
birthday.
Yeah, but they all played with her. They went to skate park. They had a great time when they
were
knew.
laughing and joking, and
Yeah, they knew they were going to kill her the next day. They knew that's what they were going to be doing.
that's terrifying to me.
Yeah. It's just that anyone could be plotting to kill you at any given time. So that's just like, I hate that thought.
And with
in my
that,
brain. Yeah. It's just, it's kind of crazy to me how, like, because I could see this happening with like petty middle school drama. Like, imagine if someone stole your like playground boyfriend. You know what I mean? Like,
mhm.
I can see somebody getting jealous and doing this shit over that, but this was over nothing. This was over Slenderman.
Well, to Morgan, it was clearly
It was very much more real to her.
it was everything to her. Like, she really thought. Anissa, once again, just speculation. I feel like she wanted it to be real, but like you
Mhm.
even said, when it went too far, she's like, I want to go home.
Yeah, it went too far. She's like, I want to go home. You're telling him I could kill my family? Fuck no. And even she said to the police, she was like, he doesn't exist. Like, she was the first to say he doesn't exist. But I don't think Morgan ever said anything that strong and that direct of a quote. I
Mhm.
think she was just kind of like, I don't know why I did this. He's kind of everywhere. I mean, it sucks. But then at the same time, Anissa was talking about we were going to spend our whole lives there and I didn't want to forget my family. So it's
Mhm.
almost like she like really did partially believe that as well.
Like, once again, speculation. I think she wanted to believe, but when shit got real and Morgan started trying to get to the mansion, she's like, "Oh, hey, oh."
Yeah. She's like, let's take a step back here. She's like, oh, wait a minute. Before you take a step back, I gotta tell you something. I made a telepathic deal with this guy that says that he can eat your family.
You bitch.
You bitch! I want to go home.
We should not be. I want to go home. I'm done playing.
I'm done playing. Can we
Peyton,
finish our hide and seek? We didn't find Peyton.
Okay, you can get up now. It's fine.
Yeah, you're fine. Shake it off.
Didn't even stab you that hard.
Yeah.
Oh,
But that is the story of the Slenderman stabbings.
And Peyton is a speaker about this. She talks about this. You were saying,
I wouldn't say she goes around like to different like schools and stuff to talk about this, but she has done several interviews with like, I want to say like CBS or whatever, where she basically like recounts everything, and she must have some good ass therapy because she doesn't seem like she's in tears. She doesn't seem upset by the questions at all. She must have got some good ass therapy. But she's spoken to several people about this. I believe there was a documentary film on it on HBO called Beware the Slenderman. It was released in 2016, right after this happened. Literally 2 years after this happened, before they were even sentenced. There was a Law and Order SVU episode that is kind of loosely based on this. There's a Criminal Minds episode that was inspired by this story as well. There's also a movie in 2018 called Terror in the Woods on Lifetime that is inspired by this.
I was going to ask, is the movie, so the movie is based on this incident, or does it actually have to do with the actual character, Slenderman?
So the 2018 movie that the guy that actually originally created Slenderman had a hand in does not involve this specific case.
Okay.
It just is about Slenderman. There's nothing really. I don't think there's anything regarding that case in it. I haven't watched the Slenderman movie, but there's 2 other movies that reference Slenderman. One of them called Terror in the Woods and Mercy Black, and those 2 both of them regard this case. Whatchamacallit? That's cool. 2019, in October 2019, more than 5 years after the stabbing, Peyton, then 17, spoke to ABC's 2020 about her experience for the first time. She spoke of her scars, saying, "I don't think much of them. They'll probably go away and fade eventually." And she told interviewers about everything that happened. And when asked what she would say if she ever saw Morgan again, she added that she would thank her because the attack inspired her to pursue a career in medicine.
This is like the chillest human being.
Right? I don't know how she is so chill in these interviews, dude. It's kind of like very odd. Everything just seems like it was a blur to her. Like when she's recalling everything just seems like a blur to her. I've seen like a few parts of the interviews. It's kind of crazy. But yeah,
I make a really, really bad joke.
Go for it. I mean, this is your podcast, not mine.
Very, very true. But once again, bad joke. She's alive, and that's all that matters. But yeah. I was just, you were saying that, I was thinking like, maybe she made a deal with Slenderman in the woods.
Peyton?
Yeah.
Oh no! Like basically that she would live. Yeah, you can have the families of them too. I made a double psychic compact with freaking Slenderman, dude. You got one deal, I got another second deal that's based on your first deal that they can have if I survive. What if it was Peyton that originally made that deal and told Morgan about it? No, I'm not. That's not what I mean. Morgan made the deal, told Peyton about it, was like, I'm going to live even harder now because now I want your families to be blamed.
I think in a couple of years, you can make that movie.
Yeah, I think it's a little too fresh right now. I think 5 years, 6 years after it, that's a little much.
I'm so happy for Peyton for being able to shake it off. I mean, attempted murder by 2 people you thought were your friends. Yeah. And you're just like, you know what? I won't be a doctor now. So I'm taking your negative energy and the 19 stab wounds, and I'm going to take that and become a doctor.
Yeah.
You go, girl.
It's totally crazy. I don't think I'd be able to put a positive spin on that. I genuinely think I would probably be like, yeah, I got stabbed. Like probably for the rest of my life. I don't know how I don't honestly, until it happens to you, you don't know how you'll act, honestly.
Yeah.
But I'd like to think that I would take it well, but I don't know who would. Clearly Peyton.
Dylan as a 12-year-old would not have taken it well. And Peyton's here like, yeah, they're scars, but you know what? They're gonna fade because that's life. And you're like, Peyton, how are you so deep, girl?
Oh my God. Yeah. And actually the guy that created it, once the Tuesday following this incident, the guy who created Slenderman was like, I am so fucking sorry. I am so sorry. And my heart goes out to the families of those who were affected by this. Like it seriously is insane that this even happened because of my character. And he and other members of the creepypasta community held a 24-hour live stream on YouTube that June to raise money for her medical bills and stuff. Yeah.
Our community.
Right on.
I'm proud.
Right on. So it's very cool. But
I am happy for him in the sense that I'm happy this didn't derail his movie or this character.
yeah.
That no one blamed the character or him. This was a girl with schizophrenia and Anissa. I don't like Anissa. Morgan, I can kind of, my heart goes out to her because she does suffer from some schizophrenia,
she is
depression. She is ill. Anissa, you are.
Yeah. There was a debate on the impact of the internet on children. There were some people that were blaming like they were saying that like this should be a wake up call to parents. Like you guys need to keep track of what your kids' online habits are and make sure that they know the differences between right and wrong. She said, and like somebody else who like there's I guess like they've made books on this about because at this point in culture, Slenderman is basically like a not I wouldn't say a myth, but the way his presence is on the internet, it is a mythological character, kind of much like it's not the right word that I'm looking for, but much like a vampire or a werewolf. Like they're just they're just boogeymen, you know? Like they're no more like, and there was a study done that she wrote like 3 books on this about how modern day folklore is made on the internet. And it's kind of interesting because she wrote a couple books on it that is basically how we are spreading our modern day folklore through the internet with sites like creepypasta and stuff like that, and like how we're communicating to each other with our suspension of disbelief in order to translate this and spread it around enough that it relates to so many people. You know what I mean? That it plays on so many people's fears without actually living with those people. It's very, very interesting. Okay. And she had stated, she's an assistant professor at University of Georgia. She is an assistant professor of mass media arts. And she basically said creepypasta is no more dangerous than stories about vampires and zombies. Like, seriously, it's not their fault.
Yeah. I'm a diehard gamer, if our listeners don't know. And anytime, you know, the debate of like violence in video games, and every single study, almost ever, I want to say, there's absolutely no link.
None.
My friend's dad once tried to convince me, we were talking about off air, BioShock.
Yeah.
You have like the plasmids and stuff, and he's like, you don't think that inspires young children to use heroin? Like, old school conservative man, but I'm like,
wow, that's a reach.
No. Well, I think that children are going to watch this and want to do heroin. I'm like, I.
That's a reach, because it's interesting because really the addicts are the splicers in that. And that's the whole reason why they are the way they are. So really, they're the bad guys. So if anything, you would be like, I don't want to do heroin because I'm going to turn into a fucking splicer. So yeah, I don't think that there's any link to that at all. That's a reach. Wow.
Don't blame
Wow.
don't blame the media. Don't blame
Yeah.
content. Talk to your children.
Yeah. And while I'm like, video games don't cause violence, I still don't know, just for developmental wise, because
Mhm.
I did work in childcare and I did work with younger kids. I don't know if I would if I would allow my child to really play super violent video games until they're maybe in third, fourth grade.
I
I
completely
don't,
agreed.
I wouldn't say that I would let them play that in second grade. Like, I saw so many kids that were like younger that had like older siblings and stuff that would always talk about Five Nights at Freddy's. And like for younger kids who are still like innocent and are not interested in violent video games or anything like that. I mean, which I wouldn't call Five Nights at Freddy's very violent, but
Mhm.
I would call it scary. I mean, but for younger kids who are still like not interested in that and are still into like the cutesy things, they're gonna be scared by that. So if you're playing Five Nights at Freddy's on the schoolyard and you go and explain this to a child that's not into violent or extreme video games like you and your older brother are, that you probably shouldn't be playing at the age that you are, but if they're not exposed to that, they're gonna be now afraid of the things they once liked.
Yeah.
It just it I don't know. I do think that there's a fear factor in that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, there's a fear factor and there's a desensitization factor in that. And that's why I would prevent the violent video games from happening too early, just because developmentally it's not healthy for them to see this much stuff and get desensitized to it so fast.
And
I
especially
mean,
now where it's just the way graphics are and everything, it's like
oh
it's
yeah.
so gory and realistic. I
And
mean,
it moves so fast and like it's there in a blink of an eye and your brain is barely able to process, oh, was that someone dying? I couldn't remember. Did he explode or did he get shot? Did he get shot in the head? I couldn't see that. Like, like
yep.
you aren't even able to register what happened. So your brain is just seeing this red all over the screen. Again, I'm not saying that video games cause violence. I don't care. I think it's somewhat, if you do allow this young enough, that it does cause developmental issues with kids, and I think it can cause um sass.
Sass.
I think it could cause sass,
Well, I
but that's
think
just because all
sass
the
is
kids I watched
inevitable.
are sassy.
I mean, yeah, I was kind of I had no barriers. So I had a play date when I was like in kindergarten or something, and
Mhm.
I came home. I found out though, found this out years later. Like the mom was like freaking out at my mom because she's like, Dylan was talking about The Simpsons. You let him watch The Simpsons, and he plays Doom. You let him play Doom.
My God, that's funny. Like OG Doom.
Goddamn
Yeah,
right.
that's nothing. That's nothing.
Um, you know, um, Everyone did it as a kid. Like, what's your favorite TV show? What's your favorite video game? You
Yeah.
talk about in front of class. My mom has the paper somewhere. Kindergarten. Dylan's favorite movie, Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh no.
There was a
I
there,
was
there
the
was a
kid
phone
that would
call.
write Austin Powers because my parents, they were like, oh, they're not going to get all the innuendo. It's fine. But then we would go and quote it in public and then it was a problem. So
Same.
yeah, 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 it
I
was a
didn't
lot of that.
understand any of that. And I look back, I'm like,
I'm
oh,
like, you really let me watch this shit? Like, really? Yeah, it's very interesting. And I think that when you're young like that, there's so much going on in your brain that you are intaking so much that at any given point, like something larger could happen that will
mm-hmm.
then take over like that process of your brain going on and basically like kind of make everything else very minor. So that's like a bigger part in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I'm not a neurologist. I just worked in childcare for 10 years. So I've seen a lot of kids, and I feel like parents also just don't give kids restrictions nowadays. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, don't
Restrictions
get
are
me,
okay.
And a lot of people blame that on being very like part of the technology age. But meanwhile, I'm here. I'm 24 years old, almost 25, and I was growing up around the time when computers started being common in households. My dad, however, was in IT. He worked in IT at the time when my sister and I were young. So we had a desktop computer in our home before it was like commonplace for everybody to have one. So me
Yep.
and my sister were playing CD-ROMs like nonstop before like it was like common to do that. And
Mhm.
so I'd like to say that I did grow up in like with fast growing, fast advancing technology, which is what kids are living in right now, albeit it was different, but it's still what's happening right now. But you still have to have those parental controls in place. Even though your kids may be smart enough to hack into the administration account and actually change those parental controls. That's fine. Anyway, but even if they are smart enough for that, you still have to set a precedent that you have a limited amount of time and you shouldn't be on it all the time because it's not healthy. I have seen so many kids like having their parents just rip away their iPads, and the amount of anger and frustration and just absolute fits that I've
Yeah.
seen grow over just being told they can't be on the iPad. It's insane. And I just feel like there needs to be more restriction on it, not necessarily on what they're playing, but more restriction on like how much time you're giving them, because screen time is bad for adults. We're working on our computers all day long and we're getting blue light glasses because it's not good for your eyes. It's not good for your head. You get headaches and shit.
Mhm.
So, how could that be any better for a child? So, I don't know. Just my 2 cents.
Um, thank you for once again another horrifying true crime story.
Oh,
Um,
man.
that one was one for the books.
Yeah, reeling it back. Yeah, no, it's definitely like, I think it was like a cooler one to really kind of kick ourselves off with, and it's not
Absolutely.
too bad. They only get worse from here.
Only get worse from here. I'm excited. Love this stuff.
Yeah.
Can you, like we did last episode? If you can't, you can't. It's cool. Could you give us a potential
Hint.
hint at next week's?
So I'll say two things about next week's.
Okay.
So one, it's one that is very common and most people know.
Okay.
Uh, and two, has a very, very long suspect list and is still unsolved, but we kind of pretty much know who did it.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the two things I will give you, that it's pretty famous and there's a long suspect list.
I'm excited.
Yeah, the suspect list is crazy. Some of the names in it, like I was looking at them, I was doing some of the research on it when I was writing my notes, and some of the names in this suspect list is like, oh my God, these are like really well-known names. Why do people not speak of the, I mean, probably because there's no basis for it, but why do people not speak of why they think that they were a suspect? Like, why are they even on this list? Like, what qualifies them to be on this list, basically? Like, what did they do that connects them to this case? And I have yet to find somebody that actually like speaks about these particular like really well-known names, and I'm like, why? Like, what is the story here? So I'm gonna have to do some digging on those ones before we record this one, but I'm gonna do some digging tonight and see if I can get this done before we record next.
I'm so excited. Sammy,
Yeah.
once again, thank you so much for another chilling tale that's gonna I kind of want to watch this on the movie now. Another documentary now I have to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah, there's a lot of them though. If you check their Wikipedia page for this case,
Hmm.
there is like a whole list below of like media of what movies have referenced this case. So there's quite a few.
I'm excited. Sami from Studio Sticks, go check out her artwork. It's good stuff. She did the logo. She does the KPM merch. Go check that out. It's sexy as
And go get
F.
some KPM merch. There's a whole store. There's some really cool stuff on there. I need to get something myself specifically because I want something with that art on it. I'm so proud of it. So good. I'm actually like really proud of it because for something to get copyright stricken, like
because
that you
it was
drew,
too
because
accurate.
it was too good.
No, you stole
Yeah.
that. No.
No, I didn't. Promise. It's completely original artwork. So yeah, that's actually pretty funny. But yeah, I want something with it on it just for fun, just so that I can have it. I feel like it would be like good to have like it on a cup or something that I could just sit here and sip while I'm telling you a story.
Oh, that's a good idea. We can all just get cups. Oh, I like this.
Yeah.
Ideas are happening.
Yeah. Put that on the
Sami
YouTube channel.
At Studio 6. Check out our last episode if you haven't, with the crazed Brazilian politician, TV announcer, drug
Wallace Souza.
dealer, Wallace Souza. I mean, good God. Check out and follow us. I'm so excited for next week. I cannot begin to explain how excited I am because I don't know what the hell is going to happen or who's involved. Thank you all for listening. Sami, thank you again.
Of course.
And we will see you next week.
Next week.
See you later.